At this he brayed so loud that round about he drave affrighted echoes through the air, and said, O beast, I was premonished fair by aged prophecy in one that was a great and good man. This should come to pass, and how 'tis proved now. Augur Telemus, surnamed Eurymedes, that spent with us his age in augury, and did exceed in all presage of truth, said all this deed should this event take, authored by the hand of one Ulysses, who I thought was manned with great and goodly personage, and bore a virtue answerable. And this sure should shake with weight of such a conqueror. When now a weakling came, a dwarfy thing, a thing of nothing, who yet wit did bring, that brought supply to all, and with his wine put out the flame where all my light did shine. Come, land again, Ulysses, that my hand may guest rights give thee, and the great command that Neptune hath at sea I may convert to the deduction where abides thy heart. With my solicitings, whose son I am, and whose fame boast to bear my father's name. Nor think my hurt offends me, for my sire can soon repose it in it the visual fire, at his free pleasure, which no power beside can boast of men or of the deified. I answered, Would to God I could compel both life and soul from thee, and send to hell those spoils of nature. Hardly Neptune then could cure thy hurt and give thee all again. Then flew fierce vows to Neptune, both his hands to star-born heaven cast. O thou, who that all lands gird'st in thy ambient circle, and in air shakest the curled tresses of thy sapphire hair, if I be thine, or thou mayst justly vaunt thou art my father, hear me now, and grant that this Ulysses, O Laertes' son that dwells in Ithaca, and name hath one of city ruiner, may never reach his natural region. Or if to fetch that, and the sight of his fair roofs and friends be fatal to him, let him that amends for all his miseries, long time and ill, smart for and fail of, nor that fate fulfill, till all his soldiers quite are cast away in other ships, and when at last the day of his sole landing shall his dwelling show, let detriment prepare his wrongs enow. Thus prayed he Neptune, who his sire appeared, and all his prayer to every syllable heard. But then a rock in size more amplified than first he ravished to him, and implied a dismal strength in it, when, wheeled about, he sent it after us, nor flew it out from any blind aim, for a little pass beyond our foredeck from the fall there was, with which the sea our ship gave back upon, and shrunk up into billows from the stone, our ship again repelling near the shore as first. But then our rowers were, being warned, more armed, and strongly stemmed the flood that bore back on us, till our ship made good the other island, where our whole fleet lay, in which our friends lay mourning for our stay, and every minute looked when we should land. Where, now arrived, we drew to the sand, the Cyclops sheep dividing, that none there of all our privates might be wrung, and bear too much on power. The ram yet was alone by all my friends made my portion above all others, and I made him then a sacrifice for me and all my men to cloud-compelling Jove that all commands, to whom I burned the thighs, but my sad hands received no grace from him, who studied how to offer men and fleet to overthrow. All day, till sunset yet, we sat and eat, and liberal store took in of wine and meat. The sun then down, and place resigned to shade, we slept. Morn came, my men I raised, and made all go aboard, weigh anchor and away. They boarded, sat, and beat the aged sea, and forth we made sail, sad for loss before, and yet had comfort, since we lost no more. Odyssey, Book 10, The Argument. Ulysses now relates to us the grace he had with Aeolus, great guardian of the hollow winds, which in a leather bag he binds and gives Ulysses. All but one, which Zephyr was, who filled alone Ulysses' sails. The bag once seen while he slept by Ulysses' men, they thinking it did gold enclose, to find it all the winds did loose, who back flew to their guard again. forth sailed he, and did next attain to where the Lastrygonians dwell, where he 11 ships lost, and fell on the Aeaean coast, whose shore he sends Eurylochus to explore, dividing with him half his men, who go and turn no more, all save Eurylochus to swine by Circe turned. Their stays inclined Ulysses to their search, who got of Mercury an antidote, which moly was 'gainst Circe's charms, and so avoids his soldiers' harms. A year with Circe all remain, and then their native forms regain. On utter shores a time they dwell, while Ithacus descends to hell. Another argument. Great Aeolus and Circe, friends, find Ithacus, and hell descends. To the Aeolian island we attained, that swum about still on the sea, where reigned the god-loved Aeolus Hippotades. A wall of steel it had, and in the seas a wave-beat smooth rock moved about the wall. 12 children in his house imperial were born to him, of which 6 daughters were, and 6 were sons, that youth's sweet flower did bear. His daughters to his sons he gave as wives, who spent in feastful comforts all their lives, close seated by their sire and his grave spouse. Past number were the dishes that house made ever savor, and still full the hall as long as day shined. In the night time all slept with their chaste wives, each his fair carved bed most richly furnished, and this life they led. We reached the city, and the fair roots of these, where a whole month's time all things might please. The king vouchsafed us. Of great Troy inquired the Grecian fleet, and how the Greeks retired. To all which I gave answer as behoved. The fit time come when I dismission moved, he nothing would deny me, but addressed my pass with such a bounty as might best teach me contentment. For he did enfold within an ox hide, flayed at 9 years old, all the airy blasts that were of stormy kinds. Saturnius made him steward of his winds, and gave him power to raise and to assuage. And these he gave me, curbed thus of their rage, which in a glittering silver band I bound, and hung up in my ship, enclosed so round that no aggression any breath could find. Only he left aboard the western wind to speed our ships, and us with blasts secure. But our securities made all unsure, nor could he consummate our course alone, when all the rest had got egression. Which thus succeeded. 9 whole days and nights we sailed in safety. In the 10th, the lights born on our country earth we might descry, so near we drew. Yet even then fell I, being overwatched, into a fatal sleep, for I would suffer no man else to keep the foot that ruled my vessel's course, to lead the faster home. My friends then envy fed about the bag I hung up, and supposed the gold and silver I had there enclosed, as gift from Aeolus, and said, O heaven! What grace and grave price is by all men given to our commander! Whatsoever coast or town he comes to, how much he engrossed of fair and precious prey, and brought from Troy. We the same voyage went, and yet enjoy in our return these empty hands for all. This bag now, Aeolus was so liberal to make a guest gift to him. Let us try of what consists the fair-bound treasury, and how much gold and silver it contains. Ill counsel present approbation gains. They oped the bag, and out the vapors break, when instant tempest did our vessel take, that bore us back to sea, to mourn anew our absent country. Up amaze I flew, and desperate things discoursed. If I should cast myself to ruin in the seas, or taste among the living more moan and sustain. Silent I did so, and lay hid again beneath the hatches, while an ill wind took my ships back to Aeolia. My men struck with woe enough. We pumped and landed then, took food for all this. And of all my men I took a herald to me, and away went to the court of Aeolus, where they were feasting still, he, wife, and children set close together. We would not at their meat thrust in, but humbly on the threshold sat. He then, amazed, my presence wondered at, and called to me, Ulysses, how thus back art thou arrived here? What foul spirit brake into thy bosom to retire thee thus? We thought we had deduction curious given thee before, to reach thy shore and home. Did it not like thee? I, even overcome with worthy sorrow, answered, My ill men have done me mischief, and to them hath been my sleep th' unhappy motive. But do you, dearest of friends, deign succor to my vow, your power commands it. Thus endeavoured I with soft speech to repair my misery. The rest with ruth sat dumb, but spake thus he: Avaunt, and quickly quit my land of thee, thou worst of all that breathe. It fits not me to convoy and take in whom heavens expose. Away, and with thee go the worst of woes that seekest my friendship, and the gods thy foes.